Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dream Team Tonic podcast, episode 68. I'm Tony, and with me for this final transfer special of the season is Fergi. Are you there, Fergi?
I am, buddy. Thanks you for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Ben, are you there, Ben, as usual?
I'm here, mate.
And James, are you there?
I'm here, Tony.
All good. Sound checks are done. We're all good. Just a quick mention for a new Patreon sign up today. Better later than never. Darren Franks, good to have you involved, mate, for the last month of the season. Hopefully you find the lads a good bunch of lads, and there's a good camaraderie and some good chat goes on. So hopefully you enjoy the month and you continue next year. So straight off, Fergie, we've not obviously seen your team for the month, so it's always yours that comes up first. So let's get how your team's done this week, mate.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, I've got a lot of Liverpool and Man City players. It's one of those months on it. I think we mentioned, didn't we, in the last one where I was on about a month ago, around the kind of midfield Man City block and then the forward Liverpool block, and and the template seems to have naturally moved that way, haven't it? So I'm not a lot different, to be honest. I think it's been quite tough to find some differentials, really. Picked out a few, hopefully later, which may help. But I've got Alisson in goal, so I moved Mendy to Alisson, which seemed quite natural given the fact that Liverpool obviously had more fixtures and seemed to go into a really good defensive mode end of the season. They did it end of last year as well, didn't they? Where they kept loads of clean sheets. So Alisson, I got Robertson. I sold Trent a while ago to help me afford De Bruyne, I think it was. So I haven't got him. Got Cancelo and Laporte, who've been doing okay. I've still got Bernardo Silva, who's been ticking along for most of the season really, really well. De Bruyne, Foden and Sterling, and then Mane, Salah and Jota. So this is my podcast team, and this one's currently ranked around 5k. So it's been hovering between 4 and 6k for most of the season. Quite hard to find some gains. My best team is, I think it's about 220th, roughly, which has got a few more Liverpool defenders in. But kind of similar vibe with the team as well. So it looks like it's going to be another decent season. I'm still with this team now in 5k. I'm still chasing. I'm second in a couple of pretty big cash leagues, so I'm hopeful of trying to catch up. I've been chipping away at a 150-point lead for the last few months. It's down to 30 points now, so
happy days.
Pretty hopeful of chasing down on that one if I could hold my nerve. And in the other one, the one that's 220th, doing okay. I think that's doing okay actually in the Dream Team Tonic league as well. So doing okay. Hard to shift really, because I've noticed that if you want to bring in someone, you have to take out a really good player, which is quite tough. So that's me at the moment.
Brilliant. Over to you, Ben.
Yeah. 41 points this week. Mendy in goal, 0. Robertson, 8. Cancelo, 7. Van Dijk, 8. Alexander-Arnold didn't play, but kept him in. De Bruyne didn't play, kept him in. Sterling only got 3 points. Again, didn't score. Don't know how he's not scoring in those last two league games. Luis Diaz, 3 points. Mo Salah, 0. Harry Kane back on the score sheet against Leicester. Surprised he didn't get more.
No, I thought the worst were coming when he scored quite early.
Yeah. And Jota got 4 points. I did one transfer on Thursday night. I had the right money to go to Van Dijk, so I sold Mount to Van Dijk. He's got 2 for 1 this week.
Yeah. Worked out a good move. Still
2 transfers left.
Nice.
Don't really know what I'm going to do yet. Sterling's starting to annoy me, but he can just turn it on and then he'll score a hat-trick or something. So
Had a
He's
few
quite highly
chances,
owned
didn't he?
still. It surprised me how highly owned he was in the top 1,000. He's something like 45%
yeah,
or something, which is quite surprising.
he's so cheap at the minute. Obviously,
Yeah, this is
he's
it.
dropping in price as well.
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva's only 0.2 behind him now.
Wow.
Yeah, Mane. I'd like Mane in there really. With Jota playing less minutes, but yeah, something to think about.
Doing
Yeah,
Jota to Mane rather than Kane to Mane. Keeping
yeah. I'll
Kane.
keep Kane. Keep Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. Looks good. Over to my team that's sinking. It's forever sinking, feels like, with this team. 24 points this week. Edison, 5 points. Cancelo, 7. Thiago Silva, 0. Chelsea, just not doing much, are they? Robbo, 8 points. De Bruyne did not play. Bilva, 0 points. Diaz, 3 points. Sterling, 3 points. He had plenty of chances to score.
Yeah.
Salah, 0. Mane, -1. Havertz, -1. Front line doing absolutely nothing. -2 between them. A couple of transfers made, which was Kane out for Mane for the 2-for-1, and Walker, who I put in, and then he instantly got injured. I took him out for the Robertson 2-for-1. There were 5 transfers done now in the team. This team is absolutely nowhere near. I think my best side now is about 650th, which has been dropping as well from my 200-300th. What I found is I tried to, with my best side, I went a little bit more City at the back and tried to attack the Liverpool blocks that were obviously doing so well. And then my second team now is probably going to pass my first team because my second team's got a Liverpool block in it. It just shows it.
Yeah.
Like if you do attack and try and go 2 different, the estimated ownership of that Liverpool back line in the top 1K is unreal. Like you got to have 3 of them. If Liverpool are keeping a clean sheet, even 3 of them, you might drop a little bit. It's quite scary. But yeah, that's where I'm at. James.
Yeah, Fergie, I'm going to. My best team is now 183rd, so it's looking like I'm heading in one direction,
whoa.
and you're heading in the other. So it'd be interesting to see if you're 220th or something.
Something like that, yeah. I'll
Yeah.
have a check now.
You might pit me to the post at this rate, but we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah, so in the podcast team, 33 points this week. Mendy 0, Trent didn't play. Cancelo 7, Matip 8, Bilva 0, KDB 0, Diaz 3, Sterling 3, and up front, Harry Kane 8, Salah 0, and Jota 4. Still got 4 transfers left in this team.
Wow.
So but it's top of the mini leagues that it's in. The main mini league it's in. I'm not in a. Yeah, I'll have to use them next week, but I'm not sure what to do yet. But obviously, with all the European finals coming to semi-finals coming to a conclusion, I reckon that might. Give me a good steer as to what to set up for next month.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like Fergie said earlier, is about you're taking one player, you're taking a top player out to put another top player in.
So
A lot
tough.
of the moves, they seem very sideways, whatever you look at.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's just a shame that the way that City and Liverpool are obviously the 2 best teams by an absolute mile in the league. They're both chasing down the Premier League, and they're the only 2 serious teams that are challenging Europe. Obviously, they're kind of Leicester and West Ham are there, but they're not playing well enough for you to joust any of the City Liverpool players out. So all teams are just completely at least last year we had Man United in the Europa League final, so you had a little bit of variation, didn't you? But we had Chelsea and City, obviously, and Liverpool was still playing well. So you kind of had 4 teams last year. This year it's only 2, and it's so tough to make any ground at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's feeling a little bit stagnated. I think with the other 2 European teams, West Ham and Leicester, is if they wasn't rotating so much in the league, they might actually be an option, but you just don't know who's going to play for them.
Oh.
Just with the benching Antonio, benching Bowen, Leicester, The forward line, you don't know if it's Daka playing, Ian Hatch or Madison. Might have picked up an injury, has he?
Yeah, he's doubt for
Touch on that.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So yeah, these just can't see any other options really other than the City and Liverpool lads. But yeah, well, I think we'll get into that with first few questions here as we head over to the listener questions. First up, DT Patrick. I have 3 City defenders. He has no Liverpool defenders. Is it brave or stupid to go block City defence to counter my rival's 3 Liverpool defenders? Otherwise, I feel I'll be burning transfers just to block him. Also, one of my defenders is Walker. Is his best replacement Diaz, Ake, or Zinchenko? Cheers, lads. He's on exactly the same points as his rival. Got his team there is Edison, Cancelo, Reguilon, Walker, Diaz, De Bruyne, Bowen, Maddison, Salah, Jota, and Kane. His rival is Alisson, Laporte, Robertson, Matip, Sancho, De Bruyne, Bowen, Bernardo Silva, Salah, Mane, and Kane. What do you reckon, Fergie?
Well, looking at Patrick's team, it looks like he's got a couple of issues there, haven't he?
Yeah.
Reguilon's out, I think, isn't he? Walker's out. Jota's not playing, though he has got Jota and Diaz. But in terms of the question about the Liverpool one, I think, obviously he has to leave it now for the remainder of this week. Obviously, if I do expect Madrid to score against City, so you could be in for a bit of a painful week unless Liverpool concede against Villarreal. Obviously, if City go out against Madrid, which I think is unlikely, but it's more of a chance of them going out than the Liverpool. You just have to shift on anyway. What was I going to say? Oh, so I was going to look at the fixtures. Looking at next week's fixtures, though, Liverpool have got home to Spurs. Liverpool are home to Spurs, and I do fancy Spurs to score against Liverpool. I think that the form that Son is in particular against that Liverpool high line, I do fancy Spurs to score. I'm not sure they'll win, obviously, but I do fancy them to score personally. And away to Villa isn't that easy either, whereas City, home to Newcastle, away to Wolves. So I think, personally, for next week, I'd be tempted to hold on.
Yeah.
I think, and then maybe reassess. I think, it's like we've just said, you could do that, but you're taking out wonderful footballers, wonderful players for a great team, and it could bite you. If you can hold your nerve, I think I'd be tempted to hold on. If it was this week, if it was with, if you could change them now ahead of Madrid and Villarreal, I may be tempted, but obviously you can't now because the teams have played. So we're looking at next week's games, and I actually think that City's fixtures are probably a bit better than Liverpool's actually. So I'd hold my nerve personally and see how it plays out. Maybe your opponent kind of spunks his beans, for want of a better word, and kind of shows his hand, and then you can, maybe he's looking at you and thinking, I'm going to move to all Man City defence.
Yeah.
So
it could be.
So I personally leave it and see what your rival does, and then react week after next.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, but the only thing, obviously, with Reguilon and Walker being injured, Pep said that he might be out for the rest of the season. But
I'd get rid of them, yeah.
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 But you know what Pep's like? He says one thing and then he's back the next week, Walker.
It did look a bad one with Walker. When I seen it, he were in pain. It looked like he'd done some proper damage. When they said that he were almost back or he were touch and go, was it, for the other week? I thought that was strange myself. And then he's not been anywhere near a squad, has he?
Yeah. Yeah, but well, to answer his question about the Man City replacements, if he's going to bring one in, it's got to be Diaz out of them three.
Yeah.
He's just nailed in the back line. 4.4 is a good price. But if he wants to sell Reguilon and Walker, I'd probably be looking at Robbo. Bring Robbo in, maybe, and then with Matty Cash, who's 2.4 million, you might be able to do that. But yeah, it's up to you. And keep an eye on Maddison because he's a doubt for Thursday. I think he'll play, but He weren't going to play on the weekend anyway, just because of the big game on Thursday. Just keep an eye on that. What do you think, James?
I think you guys have nailed it there. I would probably hang fire, wait to see how things pan out. And yeah, I mean, Diaz is definitely the most nailed of those three City defenders out of Ake and Zinchenko. I suppose if Walker is out, if we get news on that, then I would say Zinchenko is probably going to get most minutes out. A lot more minutes than he would have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ake went off with a knock, didn't he? So I think he's
Yeah,
out
he
as
keeps
well.
picking up knocks. Apparently, he went into the game with a knock, but Pep said something like, "Well, he was still fit enough to score." So I think it's only a minor niggle.
Right.
Yeah, I was saying about Robertson. I was saying bring him in because then it halves the deficit if Liverpool get a clean sheet for you for the other fella as well.
It's a shame that he can't go to Trent really because neither of them have got Trent, but Trent's so expensive. I did look at downgrading Kane, but even if you downgraded Kane to Mane to sort of match up the forwards, match his Mane at least, you're still about 1.4 million short of Trent, so it's tricky unless you downgrade elsewhere, and then you've got this roll-on effect where you've made 3 or 4 transfers and at the beginning of the month, and I don't think you want to do that this month.
No, but if Reguilon isn't playing, Walker's out, and if Maddison's injury is a little bit more than what we know at the minute, I think if he's trouble with budget there, obviously having Reguilon and obviously Walker being a cheaper option as well, he might have to sacrifice Kane to
Mane.
To maybe upgrade, maybe not to Trent obviously, but to tidy it up and put Reguilon to Diaz because I can't see his budget here. So, but
I don't think he's got much in the bank.
Yeah, so I think
Reguilon is 3.8. Walker is 3.9. You could get Diaz is only I think 4.6 and Zinchenko's 4.3, but Mane's 4.7 as well. I think there's a few. If he's got $1 million or $1.5 million in the bank, there's a few options there potentially he could do.
Yeah, Kulusevski's only 3 million as well. He could come in for Maddison. That gives you 1.6.
Yeah.
And his rival's got Matip as well. It's not like he's got Van Dijk who's going to play every game.
Yeah.
Matip probably isn't going to play every single game. So,
And Sancho, who United out, they only have 2 games left, I think, after tonight, is it?
Yeah.
So he'll be his rival will be selling Sancho, won't he?
You would think so.
He might have to get rid of Kane to fund that. That's what he might be looking at as well. It's tricky. You have to keep an eye on it, Patrick.
Yeah.
Watch his moves, see what he's doing. But yeah, it's a close one. Bang on the same points at this stage of the season. It's very close. Good up, mate. Right. Connor and Tim both asking about differentials. So Connor, 35 points behind his rival in the mini league. Give me a few outrageous differentials, lads. Have some fun with it. Basically, no Liverpool or City players. P.S. The new blog will be out this week. Cheers, Connor. And obviously, Tim Barry's been on as well with top 3 differential picks for the running. Fergie, we'll touch on the differential league later on. We'll be updating that. You were doing all right in that, so I think we'll come to you first.
Yeah, I still think there's room for Liverpool and Man City, but I'll touch on them now. But a couple of players I've looked at, and again, this is if you're just going for a bit of a mad punt. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think Son's still only 10% owned in the top 1K, which I was quite surprised at when I saw that. But more than that, Vardy, I don't know what you think, Ben. I know he's not going to play every game, but Leicester's fixtures are pretty stunning until the end of the season. I think they're really good. And the other one I quite like is Richarlison, who was picked by 0 teams in the top 1K, and it's purely for fixture volume. He's on penalties. He's their best player, and they need to win. So, like I say, they're probably not any I would put in my own team. But if you're absolutely desperate to want to be different, you could maybe consider one of those. I would though say that there's still a few players like Matip is only 16% owned still in the top 1K, which I was quite surprised to see. Laporte is only 15% owned. Diaz for Man City only 7% owned. But there's also, again, looking at Liverpool and Man City, okay, Salah's obviously whatever he is, 90%, but there's still, most of their players are still in between 30 to 40% owned. All the Man City mids are between 30 and 40% owned. Jesus is 10% owned. It's about, I think those who've shot up in this last month have just been on the right players. Like Mahrez, I don't think has done much this month. Sterling hasn't done much this month. So, if you were on, some of the other ones who did, Foden, for example, has had a pretty decent month.
Yeah.
I think you can still make up ground by, looking at who starts on the weekend, and maybe kind of jumping on then sort of thing. I don't think all is lost. It's not like all these players are 80, 90% owned and you can't make any ground. So that would be my answer for differentials. You don't have to go for, lesser teams. I think you can still be quite creative with the top teams if you've got transfers in hand.
Yep, agree.
Yeah, Son's a big one, isn't he? 10% owned, like you said. 81 points in his last 6 games.
I took him out start of April.
Oh, no. Kane's only got 40 points in that period. So, and he's chasing the golden boot now. What do you think about that then? A lot of people talking about the penalties thing. Do you think they'll give it to Son if they got a penalty?
Maybe last game of the season if they've secured top 4 already, but other than that, I just can't see it. They're not going to risk top 4 or whatever else, just so we can get the golden boot. So I'd be very, very surprised.
What about if say like they were 3-0 up at the weekend and they got a penalty to make it 4-0? Do you think you would have given it away?
I just can't see it because Kane's chasing all records of his own. He's chasing the all-time Premier League goal scoring record and things. So I personally can't see it. And Conte doesn't strike me as like a sentimental manager like like Rangnick is playing bloody Juan Mata tonight. He doesn't strike me as that sort of manager. He's all for the focus and and the continuity and and the win. So I can't see it personally. I might be wrong. He has taken pens for Spurs in the past when Kane's not been on the pitch, but I'd be very surprised. But I'm saying that he is at the moment playing as their number 9, as in his position on the pitch. I think forget pens, he's out of this world. He's just he's operating at a different level at the moment, I think.
Yeah, top player. James. Sorry, Ben.
Sorry, I just.
Sorry, mate.
Talking about Son, but in midfield, I looked at Saka, 2.9 million. 2.9% in the top 1K, and he's on penalties now as well for Arsenal. They've got 4 fixtures left to play: Leeds, Tottenham, Newcastle, Everton. Obviously, Everton's trying to stay up. Tottenham's a derby, but Leeds and Newcastle. Yeah, it's a tricky little run, but Saka's everywhere at the moment for Arsenal.
Yeah, playing well.
Yeah. Kulusevski's 1.3%. Started on the bench at the weekend, but I think he's proved that he deserves to start now after going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and getting 2 assists.
I just wrote down Saka for my differential pick for me. Only messing.
Yeah, James.
Go on, James. Fire some at us.
Well, funny enough, I had Vardy and Richarlison written down as well because Vardy's got potentially 7 fixtures, although I seriously doubt he'd play all of them. Richarlison, Everton have got 5 fixtures left. But moving on, because Fergie mentioned them, and these are in order of craziness because he said have a bit of fun with it. I've put down Entekia. He looked pretty decent in the last game. He didn't get any.
He should have scored a few times.
Yeah, I suppose Lacazette might come back in because Nketiah is on his way. But he did say have a bit of fun with it. I thought Nketiah looked pretty good. And Arsenal only got 4 fixtures left, though. So I probably wouldn't actually do that move. But
He's 2
if you're
million.
looking for a
Price, good
crazy
enabler.
differential.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I've got wrote down Jesus. Obviously, he said no City and Liverpool, but again, like Fergie said, I think Jesus is a good option. He's absolutely on fire. We'll touch on him a little bit later on as well. My mate Timo Werner, who seems to have nailed himself a starting berth in that Chelsea side, although I don't know, they didn't look great at weekend. Everton defended very well, but he's at 3.4 million, very lowly owned, probably for good reason. And then the Everton lads, obviously, plenty of fixtures, and do you know the fixtures now I think they've got through that tough spot they had. Obviously, Leicester next are just if Leicester go through in thingy, they're just rotating and rotating. I don't think they give a shit about where they finish in Premier League at the minute.
No.
It's just like they've given up there. So that's a pretty decent fixture that for Everton. Then Watford follows that. Then Brentford, Crystal Palace, and then finishing off with Arsenal. I think there's some good fixtures there. I think they've got some. With the way they were defending against, we watched them defend against Liverpool, Chelsea, United. These games, they look very good at the back, very solid. Seamus Coleman, 2.1 million. Michael Enko, 1.9 million. Very good enablers. I can see him getting a couple of clean sheets out of them last few. Like I say, bit of a crazy option, but they've got the fixture volume and the quality. And I hope they do keep 5 clean sheets and they stay up and Burnley go down. But yeah, that's about it from me. That's about as crazy as it gets. Obviously, I did a bit of a nod to yours as well, Ben, from the other week. Coutinho, who was in Villa, have got 5 fixtures remaining. They have got a tricky one with Liverpool and the City in there, but yeah, Coutinho, special player.
3 home games left.
Yeah, could do all right. Right, that's it for the differentials. Let's move on to Andy Barnett. This is a team in my mini league. I'd like to get it from from third place to second place by the end of the month. But I would like to save as many transfers as possible for the end of the month. There's a decent transfer kitty in the bank. So his team: Mendy, Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Cancelo, Robertson, Bowen, Bilva, Mount, Salah, Mane, Havertz, and the team that's in front of him is Mendy, Stones, Cancelo, Alonso, Van Dijk, Mahrez, Diaz, De Bruyne and Foden, and Mane and Salah up top. What would you do with that, Ben?
Well, Chelsea's got good fixtures next week. They've got Wolves at home and Leeds away. So I'd be tempted to just leave it for them. The only one that's worrying me is Havertz. He doesn't seem to be doing that well at the moment. So I'd be looking to move him on somehow. He said he's got a bit of kitty, so maybe move him on to like KDB, Son, Kane, something like that. Yeah, but like Bowen's got 1 game, but it's Norwich, so if he could go wild against Norwich. Remember Antonio a few years ago got 4 goals, I think, against Norwich. Yeah, and Silva seems to be playing every week, so yeah, I'd leave it for this week. Reassess next week.
Yeah, good shout. Fergie?
Yeah, I do exactly the same. Again, Wolves and Leeds are pretty decent. So yeah, I think that's something which is really hard to do. But say a lot of the top managers do just hold on for that extra weeks of information. And sometimes I did it last month. I was quite fortunate, but I had a couple of Chelsea. I think it was after they lost to Arsenal, or just before maybe. But I held on. I had to cross my legs and cross everything just to hold on because I wanted a bit more information. And Chelsea had back-to-back clean sheets, so it can work out at times and give you that extra week's information. So if you want to hold transfers back, I completely agree with Ben. Yeah.
James.
Yeah, Fergie's referring to the week where I didn't do that and I knee jerked.
Yeah, that was that week, wasn't it?
Which is not like me at all, completely out of character. But yeah, that's scuppered me. Yeah, but I think the advice that's been given so far is good. I hold on for an extra week, get more information. If West Ham weren't playing Norwich, I would say get rid of Bowen because they've only got like probably three fixtures, maybe four if they get through. But yeah, hold on for that extra week is probably sound advice.
Yeah, nothing to add there. I think we'll hear from you again next week, Andy, and probably know a little bit more and be able to give you some more informative advice. Tricky game for West Ham against Frankfurt. I don't know if you've seen any of it. Bloody good team, Frankfurt. The Wolves.
Yeah, that's the Puck Derby, isn't it? Frankfurters versus the Ham.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Right, moving swiftly on.
Just on that as well, the team in front of Andy has got Stones, so he's pretty good actually because Andy's got 11 players. I think Stone's still injured, isn't he? And his team, he's also got Mendy, he's got Alonso, so their teams are very similar. So again, I think it's a who blinks first thing. I think would work really nicely there for Andy. Hopefully,
yeah, he could do Havertz out to Diaz, but again, Chelsea's fixtures are all right, and Havertz seems to be starting every game up there. He don't fancy Lukaku, so
Chelsea play at 3:00 as well, so you'll see the lineups.
Happy days. Right, Walmart Stefan. Jesus for Jota. Thoughts? The former seems to be banging favourite and form, and the latter seems to be on the fringes currently. Going to go to you, James, being the Liverpool man, and obviously you know about the ins and outs with Jota. What's going on there? What do you reckon?
Well, Jota's certainly having his managed minutes. His minutes managed even since his injury. With Manny playing as the number 9 and actually doing well there, that hasn't helped him either. So I don't dislike that move. If you look at the stats, Jesus is averaging 11.4 points in the last 5 per game.
It's not bad, is it?
And Jota's 1.5. So, there's a stark difference there. Yeah, I mean, obviously wait to see what happens in Europe, but yeah, I don't dislike that move. Jota's not getting enough minutes at the moment. So yeah, I think that's a decent move.
James, do you predict Jota to start midweek in the Champions League?
No, I don't think he will because he started at the weekend, and Klopp. It would. My gut feeling is Klopp will probably play Manny as the number 9, Diaz on the left, and Salah on the right.
Yeah,
would be my guess.
on
go on, Fergie.
Just on Jota as well, you get to see the lineup on Saturday for Liverpool against Spurs. So if he doesn't start, probably just move him to Jesus regardless. To be honest,
Yeah, I think it's a good move, solid move. You agree, Ben?
Yeah, it's hard not to when he's got 76 points in his last 6 games.
You do know that means he's going to be due to be dropped off Pep.
Well, he seems to be like he's just gone, right, you're not one of my best players, but you're on fire. Just play every game at the moment. He's just playing him in the league, playing him in the Champions League, and he's scoring every game, so he ain't going to rotate him or anything. If he starts rotating him, he might be one of them players that needs rhythm, just keeps playing to be in form. Start taking him in and out, and that he'll lose his form. So yeah, definitely look at the lineups and decide what you're going to do. But it's if you need the money, might have to do it Thursday. If Jota might go down and Jesus will go up.
Yeah,
it all depends on the fixtures midweek. How they get on midweek though.
Yeah, because you could probably see if Jota doesn't start midweek, you probably see him start at the weekend, which would probably scup you a little bit because you wouldn't want to make the move, would you? If Jota starts, would you make that move?
Tricky one, that. Spurs is not an easy
I
game.
don't think I would, because I don't think Jesus plays twice in the league next week.
Yeah.
It's really when I got to the end last season, it was literally a case of look who starts on the weekend and just take it right. They've got at least they've got one guaranteed start. You don't even know that Jesus is going to start either game.
Yeah,
You just got to play what's in front of you, haven't you? Sometimes just on the budget, Jota was he 5.5 or 5.3.
5.1.
Jesus is only 4.3. So I personally think it's worth
wait.
It's worth waiting for the information. Personally.
I've got yours at 5-1. Have I? And 4-6 for Jesus.
Yeah, 4-6. Yeah.
Have I? Yes, 0.5 between us.
Mind you, I am on the desktop, and the desktop version always seems to be out of date. So it's probably minus out of date.
Yes, if they drop by, I mean, you can see he's obviously depending on what happens midweek, but you'll probably see him going up 0.3. Jota, obviously, it depends what he does midweek. He might come on and score a brace. You don't know, do you? We don't know what's going to happen. I fancy Liverpool to get through their tie midweek. It'd be a close one as well. Obviously, that decision will be made after we know whether Liverpool have got another game in Europe and whether City have got that extra game, whether they can turn Madrid over. So
yeah,
it's one of them. Another one to wait and see. I think we seem to be in a little bit of that, don't we? Where there's some big games to come during this week, and they're going to decide.
It's tough. It gets to the point in the season where it's all about setting alarms and looking at lineup, and that's when you know you're in serious mode. Ronaldo's just had a goal VAR'd off for Man United.
Did you bring him in your Sky team?
I did, yeah, and he just scored and he got VAR'd off. So, Bruno scored earlier as well. But yeah, for those who haven't kind of, I'm sure most of the people listening to this pod are pretty hardcore, but the old setting the alarm on the weekend and checking the lineups thing before making moves is a bit of a staple for hardcore players, isn't it? I think it's getting to that time now where you need to do it really, because there's only a few games left, isn't there?
That's it.
Yep.
Maximise everything.
Exactly.
Every game counts. Right, Matt Woolley's been on. Who's was he James for fourth?
I think he's fourth, yeah. Only 6 points off the top.
Wow.
Something like that.
So doing well. Obviously well in contention to win it. Any mere transfer strategy tips for tight leagues or mini leagues where managers of similar teams? My default position will be delaying where possible and hope to take advantage of others run out of transfers. Is there a danger that's far too cautious though? Fergie.
Yeah, it's a really good
as a winner.
Yeah,
it's a
really good
great
question.
position.
And I do think his default position is the way to play it, and it's purely because of what we mentioned earlier. You're not taking out bad players. Any one of these players are capable of massive hauls, like 18 pointers in any game. Any one of the Man City midfielders, any one of the Liverpool attackers, they're all capable of huge hauls, as we've seen. Even like Silva, for City, he's had a couple of 18 pointers this season. You never know when the best time is to kind of take him out. So if you try and be clever and put in Son for Foden, let's just say, and who's to say it's not Foden's week? It's so hard to predict. So I think, Matt, keep your pulse, on what's going on around you. If something's really obvious, then do it, but just let your patience, play to your advantage. I would, and opportunities will come naturally. And then, even if the opportunity is blocking off, if you're top and someone uses their transfers, and then you use yours to block them off. Happy days, or vice versa. Because as we mentioned earlier, it could be that someone's looking at your team and they try to block you off, or they try to do something different. You're forcing them as well. So, we were just talking a little bit off here, but I think the edge in fantasy football nowadays is not who to pick, because we all know who to pick. It's having the discipline to, who blinks first. I really do. And so, yeah, Matt, I keep on doing what you're doing, and congratulations on an amazing season.
Yeah. Ben, anything to add to that, mate?
I think that's brilliant advice by Fergie there. Yeah, definitely. I've just been looking at your team, and it's in a great position. Definitely hold for at least a week and just see if there's any opportunities. I can't see any faults with your team, so just keep at it, mate. Keep looking at see what your rivals are doing, and then you can look again next week and try something different.
I made 2 transfers last season because I just wanted to make a transfer, and I took out Mahrez the week before he scored 2 in the Champions League semi-final. I took Cancelo out the week that they played Spurs in the Carabao Cup final, and he romped the star man. And it's tinkering for tinkering's sake.
Yeah.
If your team is good, just leave it be. Mahrez now, I wouldn't be taking Mahrez out now, for example. All right, he's had a quiet period. He's probably the streakiest player you can ever have, Mahrez, isn't he? So the minute you take him out, he's going to bang in a couple of goals.
Yep, James.
Yeah, I think that's been covered. Great strategy.
Yeah.
Let them blink first. For people who are not in Matt's position and treating it as a more generic question, I think it's somewhere between maybe make 1 or 2 transfers. If there are obvious gaps to fill in your team, but if there aren't, then holding fire and waiting to see what everyone else does. Maybe waiting for that opportunity. Being able to use those transfers as a block is going to be more valuable to you at the end, I think.
Definitely. Avoiding any sideways moves. Any injuries, obviously, get rid. Any players that, if you could make a couple of transfers, like you just said, James, and you could take somebody out to improve 2 positions, and that'd set you up well for the month, then yeah, but not a Mahrez to a Foden or a Jota to a Mane. Like, they're all capable, so no sideways moves. They're all wasted because, like you said, blocking at the end of the month could be crucial. Some very good advice there. Gazzy's right arm, 59 points behind, lads. Thoughts, please. He's 100 plus back to third, so he's happy to take a risk. £1,200 to the winner. 3.5 million in the bank. He's penciled in Kane for the last 2 games. Gazzy's team is Alisson in goal, Laporte, Cancelo, Robertson, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Foden, Sterling, Salah, Mane, and Jota. And his rival at the top of the league is it me? Is it my eyes, or is that have my eyes just gone, or is that all blurred? That's Alisson, Van Dijk, Cancelo, Trent, Robertson, De Bruyne, Diaz, Silva, Mane, Salah, Jota. So, I mean, it's just 50-50 Liverpool City, isn't it? Across the 2. Gaz has got a few more City. And Michael, his rival, has got a few more Liverpool. I mean, we just said, I think we just said most of it, haven't we? Don't blink. What do you reckon, Fergie?
Yeah, so he's 59 points behind and 100 plus back of third, so happy to take risks.
Mm-hmm.
So in his position, if he's happy to take a risk, if he's happy to take a risk,
Yep.
looking at the 2 teams there, I'd go all in on Man City personally.
Yeah.
Just to oppose, he's gone all in on Liverpool and just hope that Man City smash and Liverpool don't. But that's only if you're happy to know you're taking a risk. Just going all in. If he stays as he is, he's probably not going to catch him, is he?
Nope.
So I think in that specific position, because he's happy to just go for it, I just go for all the players that his opponent hasn't got.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben?
Well, looking at his team, and he's got the 4 Man City midfielders in there. That's quite a bit of a differential for him against his rival, who's only got 2, and the Diaz. And plus the rival's got Bernardo Silva, and he's got the other 4: Sterling, Foden, Mahrez, De Bruyne. So yeah. So the Kane move, Kane's a solid pick. But if you, like you said, if you're looking to take a risk, maybe go Jota to Son or Jesus. I'd like to see Trent back in that team, but yeah, I think Man City have got better fixtures next week anyway, so probably sit on your hands with everything else. Maybe just a Jota move, maybe bring in Son if you fancied it.
I think the clean sheet potential is quite high for City from now to the end of the season. I think I'd throw Diaz in there. He's probably guaranteed to play. And Jota to Jesus for me. Especially if Jota doesn't start at the weekend. I'd definitely just be firing across to Jesus. And go heavy City. What do you reckon, James?
Yeah, I think that's good advice, chaps. I would be, given current form, I would go Sonny over Kane. If he's targeting Spurs' last 2 fixtures, then that's if they've got Norwich. Hang on, let me just check. They've got Burnley, who still might be fighting for their lives, but then Spurs are probably still fighting Arsenal, I suppose, and then they've got Norwich at the end. So, it's not Spurs. It's not going to give you the fixture volume, but they certainly could score a lot in one game. The other option, like you say, would be Jesus. But yeah, no need to make any rash moves there. Just hold on a week and see what happens.
Yeah, that City midfield might fire up, might close that gap pretty soon.
Well, that gap could be a lot by the end of this week. Could be a lot closer, couldn't it? If City go off against Madrid.
Yeah, definitely. Right, over to another Aaron Wade, who were on last week, I think. Used all this month's transfers. He's pulled Cancelo for Van Dijk to make a whole Liverpool block with him. He's chasing his mini league, and he's Mane went in for Havertz. I think we gave him that advice last week on the pod, to having a look at his rivals team. His rival was the one that had Bruno Guimaraes, who absolutely smashed it for a couple of weeks, didn't he? He's seriously considering Kane to Jesus, then funding Sterling up to Foden. What's our thoughts? This is his team at present. He's still chasing 18 points behind. I think he was 22 points behind last week, so he's gone 4 points closer. His team is Alisson, Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk, Silva, De Bruyne, Diaz, Sterling, Salah, Mane, Kane. Do you reckon, Ben?
Yeah. I'd keep Kane for the next double game week. Like, you can see him scoring against Liverpool and Arsenal. He loves scoring against Arsenal. Definitely hold, and then later on in the month, if you've still got your 5 transfers, you can start targeting the Champions League final. Take Kane out in the last week after he's played Norwich, because I can see with Burnley and Norwich as well, they're good fixtures for Kane. So I won't be in no rush to get rid of Kane. And then in the last game of the season, if Man City get through or Liverpool get through to the Champions League final, you can jump on one of their forwards there. And then you can reassess, obviously, later on in the month.
Yep. Sound. James?
Yeah, I think that's sound advice. Did you know that he was talking about funding Sterling to Foden? That's a tricky one, isn't it? Because Sterling's way off form. Foden's doing all right and looking good. Is that a valid move, or would you consider that a sideways move? I mean, I have to say I would be tempted with that, given current form. What would you boys think about that?
Tricky, because it cost him Kane, won't it?
Yeah.
It has to downgrade Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's his players next week, it's one of them. again, we were about the sideways move. Sterling. No sooner do you take out a City midfielder than the next, the next one goes off. They seem to go in cycles, don't they?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just recycling through, going from Foden to Sterling, Sterling to Mahrez, Mahrez to Bilder. You've all got the capabilities. I think Ben's play is probably the best way to play it.
Yeah.
Sterling's still getting minutes as well in the league, so
It was unfortunate not to score at
Yeah.
weekend. Very unfortunate. Could have had one. We'd be saying different. He wouldn't be thinking about taking Sterling out. One of them. What do you reckon, Fergie?
Yeah, same. I think I'd leave it, to be honest. I think Kane and Sterling just as likely to score points as Jesus and Foden. And you save yourself a couple of transfers.
Yeah.
It's 50-50 which side it comes down on, but the saving the transfers for me would be the important part there that you can no doubt use well later on.
Yep, definitely. Right, over to a similar one with the Liverpool issue. Ashton Horner, my rival has gone all Liverpool. To beat him, should I keep Kane and go all City? So his team is there, which is Sanchez, Robertson, Trent, Cancelo, Mahrez, De Bruyne, Diaz, Coutinho, Salah, Kane, and Jota. His rival team is literally Liverpool with Bilver and Sterling at midfield.
He's got to take Thiago in there, I see.
Yeah, Thiago. He's been playing very well recently, to be fair.
He has, but he's not really a dream team asset.
No, he isn't.
But he's cheap, I imagine. I haven't even looked, to be honest.
Yeah. What do you reckon? His same advice. I mean, he's 73 points behind there, I think it is, and he's going to have to go all City, isn't he? Ben?
Well, I wasn't expecting to come to me there.
Sorry, mate.
Let's have a look then. Obviously, Sanchez in goal, can't really do much with him. He's so cheap, he's like 1.4, something like that.
Yeah. He's got to try and feed as many City players in there as he can.
I was looking at it before, and I was looking maybe get rid of Jota, and if he's not playing as many minutes as you'd like, maybe go to same again, Son, Jesus. Have a punt there, because if you're chasing, you've got nothing to lose anyway. So, yeah,
Could go Sanchez out, Trent out. He could upgrade to probably add to forward Edison and Diaz then.
Yeah, that's good.
Start blocking at the back with City. He's good. He's got to come away from the Liverpool players, really. I mean, it's all right leaving Salah in and maybe Diaz. But yeah, I'd move away from Jota. Trent.
Yeah.
Trent could fund the goalkeeper upgrade. Coutinho, good little punt, probably for the last month. Maybe. Might come off. What do you reckon, James?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 73 points at this stage of the season is doable, but there's no point. This rival's so heavy, Liverpool, he's going to have to go the other way. I think he's got to load up on City. That's the way to go. And just hope it falls, Liverpool fall away and City go on, march on.
Yep. Fergie?
Yeah, same. You've got to get off Sanchez. I mean, it's stinking. I just look at it; it just makes me want to vom.
I'm surprised he's lasted this long in his team.
59-point Sanchez, 115 points behind Alisson. Just got to do it, haven't you? Fixture volume, everything really, innit? It's a big Achilles heel having him in your team. I know he kept a clean sheet last week, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
You got to get rid of Sanchez. I'd do that. Sanchez and Trent.
Scary taking Trent out though, I think. But yeah, you've got to do what you got to do.
I think Robertson's been You're not
Best
performing him a lot, haven't you, in April?
Yeah.
I think Robertson's looking more dangerous at the moment.
He is.
Trent's had a nice rest this week, though, so hopefully he'll come back firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it might be Robbo's turn for a rest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it will
before
be.
Champions League final.
Didn't you say something about that last night
Yeah.
on the Q&A?
Well, yeah, I was on. We were talking about that on the Q&A, we're not. So Klopp said he was going to rotate more of his defence, but he said then he looked at it and thought, well, I can't change more than 3 at the back. So what? And it meant that Robbo had to play. So that says to me, Robbo is due next for a rest. If you listen to what Klopp's saying, and Tsimikas is a very able backup. So I would not be at all surprised if Robbo's the next one to get a rest and Tsimikas will come in for a game.
Yeah,
I'd
be a shock, would it?
If you put a bet on it, I'd almost be tempted.
Right, next up, Daniel Moody. If Liverpool and City reach the European Cup final, what do you think the starting lineups will be? Good luck for the rest of the season. I think you could probably name the back line of Liverpool, couldn't you? Which forward 3 do you reckon they'd go for, James?
For Liverpool, Salah, Mane, Diaz in the final, I reckon.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. Yeah.
You're allowed to think any different than that. I think they're pretty nailed now. Do you reckon he play? Do you think Henderson plays?
Tricky one, that. I think he probably would. I think it'll be Fabinho, Thiago, and Henderson.
Yeah.
If Henderson doesn't start, it will be Keita, and Henderson will come on, hopefully to shore up the game. If you know what I mean, he seems to be doing that a lot recently. We go ahead, we're 1 or 2-0 up, and Henderson will come on for the last 20 minutes as the steady head to try and keep it tight, etc.
Yeah.
Would it be Konate over Matip in the final? Must be.
That's the only in the defence. That's the only question mark for me. I think Konate probably would, given that he's played in the semis, and I think he played in the quarterfinals as well.
Yeah, he scored in both quarterfinals, didn't he?
So I'd be surprised if Klopp suddenly changed it to Matip at the last minute. I don't think he'd do that. He's not that type of manager.
Yeah. What about City? I mean, that'd be a lottery, wouldn't it? Their midfield.
Yeah.
That forward line.
It's still 3-4 weeks to go, isn't there? So it could be a totally different story by then.
I completely agree. In terms of form and injuries, it's only, if someone there's so many games at the back end of the season that if, say, let's just say Jota picks up a knock in a couple of weeks and he's out for 2 weeks, that means he misses everything, doesn't he? And the same for Diaz, same for Salah. So this is why I think it's so important to keep the transfers back, because Salah gets a knock and is out for 2 weeks, which is it's unlikely with Salah. Okay, let's use Diaz as probably a better example. If Diaz gets injured and is out for 2 weeks, he misses everything, and you know then that Jota is probably nailed. So you can go for Jota.
Good shout.
And same for Man City and everyone else.
Yeah. Like you say, there's a long time to go, isn't there? No point second guessing it at this moment. How it could happen. Liverpool could end up with final with Joe Gomez at centre half.
Could do.
Couldn't you, James?
Well, this could happen. He's 4th choice, but you never know.
Right, Martin Beasley. He's 289th. City and Liverpool strong lineup with 2 Chelsea. What can I do at this stage to improve rank towards the top 100? Fergie, what do you reckon he should do?
It just depends if you want to organically try and organically trying to rise is just incredibly difficult. If you're happy to try and go for top 100, but you're also happy to fall to 700 or 800th, you just go for the low-owned players and just hope they kick on. But it's the same as all the games at the moment. There's such a template in every format, and Martin plays Sky, so he knows he knows as well as anyone. If you want to try and get big jumps, you just gotta go for the low owned players and just hope they bang, and that's about it. But other than that, I still, as I say, I maintain all the time that holding transfers back is a differential, and if if going into the final weekend of the season, it's even something like Spurs at home to Norwich, right? So if you've got 4 transfers back, why not have if you haven't got Spurs, why not have a punt on Kane and Son against Norwich to try and if they win 4 or 5-0, which they they could, that could be 30, 40 points there, couldn't it? But you're going to have to go different because the template is just monstrous at the moment in his position, and I know because I'm sat around this position, so I know how tough it is to get any gains whatsoever.
Definitely, he's basically exactly where I was 5-6 weeks ago, and I tried to attack it, and like I said, I'm down in about 600th now with that team. It's brutal. It's one of them, like you say, you sit tight and hope that other people try to attack it.
Exactly.
and then you probably rise if things stay the same. But yeah, go for it. What have you got to lose? What do you reckon, James?
Yeah, I think Fergie's advice is spot on there. I mean, if he wants to take the gamble, he could pick 2 or 3 differentials with very high point ceilings. We've seen Sonny and Jesus come in with some monster scores in the last few weeks. It's about picking the next one of those, isn't it? But that's easier said than done. Who would have thought Jesus would score 4 goals and get an assist in one game?
Exactly.
So it's not easily done. But you're gonna have to pick 1 or 2 and go different, or just hang fire and wait for other people to make mistakes. You've got 2 ways of playing it.
Ben?
Yeah, well, like you said, he's got 2 Chelsea players. I'd definitely hang on to them if they're starting for the next week anyway, with that Wolves and Leeds. And then, like you say, we can see what the crack is then from then on, and you can move off them if you want to, because then they play Liverpool. But then you have Leicester in the midweek on the Thursday, and then finish with Watford. So Chelsea aren't a bad differential to have, I don't think.
Sure.
Yeah, so if you've already got them in, I wouldn't be rushing to get rid of them. But yeah, everything else, what everybody else has said, is good advice.
Yep. Right, last up, not least, Kerry Jones. Is it worth using transfers at the start of this month to rotate players to maximise future lineups, potential 2-for-1s, or is it better to hold in case of injuries? In your previous experience, which has tended to work better. Thanks in advance, lads. Great work. Ben, what do you reckon? I think we touched on most of it, but yeah, just to clarify.
Yeah and no. Like I seem to used to be really concentrating on getting the 2-for-1s last season. At least, I was doing it a lot. But this season, I seem to be holding my transfers back a lot more till later on in the month, and then changing my team at the end of the month. So yeah, but yeah, probably this last games week was probably the week to do it when you had Kevin De Bruyne, Trent missing. But they look at Trent last weekend. He come in and got 13 points, didn't he, against Villarreal? So it's a tricky one, really. You don't really want to be doing it with the top players like Trent and Kevin De Bruyne, really. That's why I didn't sell them. I kept them all this week. Yeah.
You're definitely going to want them back in.
Yeah, that's the thing. But if you've got 5 transfers, I suppose you could have done it. But yeah, Fergie said that he tried to do it with Mahrez, didn't you? During the Champions League semi-finals last year.
Oh, it hurt.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Nearly cost me the whole thing, that did, because my rival had him, so he had an 18-pointer, and at that he overtook me then. It was awful.
That'd be so stressful.
That's the worst thing for me. Do you know the biggest thing I took out of the whole of last year's experience was, don't mess it up. As in over tinkering,
Yeah.
how I would feel if I'd have taken out Mahrez, which I did, and I'd have lost because of that move. Imagine how sick you'd feel, rather than you held on, played sensibly, and you just got kind of outplayed towards the end. I think that's fair enough. But basically, commit fantasy football suicide would probably be the worst thing you could do for your mental health.
Definitely. Reckon, James?
Oh, yeah, I wonder if you go for the right 2-for-1s, it can be a good way to gain advantage.
You're better off with a two for zeros, aren't you?
Yeah. I would try and make sure that if you do that, it coincides with good fixtures for the player that you're bringing in. And you mentioned injuries there. You always keep a transfer or two back for injuries.
Yeah.
I think this month you probably want to be you don't want to be burning any more than 2 or 3 at the start of the month. I would say. Just because you don't want to be in a case where you get an injury and then you don't have a full complement going forwards, because that's it then, isn't it?
Yeah, you finish the game with 9 men.
Yeah.
You don't want that, do you?
No.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, that's it. Wrapped up for the questions. The Differential League, which we've not seen since the start of the month, I don't think. Just remind everyone of the choices. It's not been the most fruitful of months in the Differential League. The community had Havertz, who's mustered up 18 points this month. Fergie, you had top pick. Well, you had the last pick, I think. This, and it's ended up being top pick. You chose Laporte, and he's got you 31 points this month, so top shout that. James, you had back-to-back Fordens, which I'm sure was banned, but...
I didn't realise that I had.
No, I didn't. I didn't until
he's actually done all right this month, hasn't he?
He has.
You did go for Dennis in January, so you deserve it, James.
Ben, Reece James, he's got you 14 points so far. And then I had Ziyech, the worst pick of the month. I don't even think he's played much.
He's played at all, is he?
Oh, he's got on for the last 5 minutes at games. So yeah, 2 points for Ziyech. So
I just noticed that Ben had Ziyech the month before, and he got buggered all then as well.
Yeah. He did. He stung a few of us. I mean, I'm surprised I'm not absolute rock bottom. My last 4 months, I've mustered up 36 points in 4 months. I mean, but I'm still not bottom. I don't know how. So
It's tight at the bottom now, though.
It is. We're all fighting for wooden spoon here.
Yeah.
So it's looking like, obviously, we've got 1 more month to go, 1 more selection to go. It's going to be between the community and Fergie. I think the only
mess around with Donny van der Beek in February. Look. Why do you just mess around? What a fool.
You were just trying to give us a chance, weren't you?
I was just trying to be ridiculously clever, the same as I try and do in fantasy. Yeah.
I think obviously all season the community's had the first choice. I think it's only fair for this last round. Fergie's 30 points behind. I think Fergie gets the first pick this month.
It's exciting.
And then the community can have the second pick. And then us three we'll fight it out for the scraps and see who ends up finishing bottom. But yeah, all good fun. Obviously, last week we drew the round of 16 for the Patreon Cup. Fergie, interesting draw for you.
We saw
on my screen you sat next to your competitor. How's it going so far? Because obviously halfway through the week.
Well, have you looked at it, Fergie? I have.
I've only. I'm on. Hang on. Which one am I on? Which team is it? That am I on 37 points so far?
You're 8. Last time I checked, you were 8 points ahead of me.
Oof! Come on.
So we've got 2 players different. you've got so the two matchups, if you like, is you've got Laporte and I've got Trent, and you've got Bernardo Silva
Oh no!
and I've got Mahrez.
Oh,
but you are, but based on Laporte's 8 points, you are 8 points ahead because Trent didn't play. So I'm feeling that 8 points is catchable. With on paper, I would say those two matchups could be better.
that's very catchable, especially because I said earlier I fancy Madrid to put a goal or two past Man City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out.
Definitely a
Best of
close
luck,
one.
James.
Watch
Best
this
of luck.
space.
Definitely a close one.
I wish you could see Fergie's face on the
Sick.
podcast.
Right, over to the Dream Team Tonic Cash League, where Fergie, you are doing good in this, mate. Do you want to give this a read out, James?
Yep. So, in 10th place, we've got Lee Giles. 9th place, Michael White, Fred West Ham. 8th place, Ben Lee.
Hey.
Well done, Ben.
7th place, Alec Cole. 6th, Heath Robson. In joint 4th, we have Andrew Ferguson and Kerry Jones.
Both Welshmen as well.
Yeah.
And Kerry's a Welshman.
And in 3rd, we've got Steve Legg. 2nd, Dan Sherwood. And 1st, Alex Cole. No change in the top 3 there for some time, I think, now.
Oh, it's been pretty similar, hasn't it? They've battling it between themselves, really.
Yeah.
Although Fergie's on the
Payout,
tail
is it
now.
for top 3 the payout or
Top 10.
top 10?
Top 10 bid.
Is it?
Come
on.
If you give me a second, I'll get the payouts up because I don't think we've gone through it since the start of the season. I know someone asked on Twitter a good few weeks ago. It's usually the people that are up in top 10 that ask what the payout is.
Fergie, I looked at.
I wondered why you weren't asking, Tom.
Fergie, I looked at the mini league during the afternoon on Saturday, and you were second.
Was I?
Yeah, because you had like Liverpool block. I think you got the back or something like that.
Wow.
But then obviously you've gone back down again when Man City's played and everyone
Oh,
else.
I see. Right. Yeah.
Spurs has played. Yeah.
I can't find it.
You've done well to jump back up into 4th work, Fergie, because you'd had dropped quite all the way down to the to like 10th, and then you seem to have jumped straight back up.
Yeah. Did that whole Man City midfield, Liverpool defensive block, and Liverpool attack, and say it seems to have done all right. I'm on Jota, which is a bit meh at the moment because I do expect him to come on as a sub. That's the thing with Jota though. Even though he's probably not going to, I think he'll start one out of the 2 games every week, but I think he comes on in the other.
Yeah,
and he strikes me as a kind of player, when he comes on 80th minute and someone's chasing a game, you can see him just streaking away and getting a goal, can't you? I don't know. I'm a little bit reluctant to take him out.
I think earlier in the season, I think that would be more. You'd be absolutely right, but I think because Liverpool are now in their usual, like they did a couple of seasons ago, and we talked about earlier, they're in their grind the result out.
Yeah.
They're not chasing games like they were.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah.
It's all about getting the points. So if Jota comes on in the last 25, 30 minutes, he's less likely to score than he would have been earlier in the season, I think. It's just a theory. If anyone's got any other thoughts on that, I'll be open to hearing them.
I think that's fair. It's more the thing of I know Liverpool are happy at the moment to take any kind of 1-0, but if they're trying to just defend and Liverpool can catch them on the you've seen it loads of times, haven't you? Not with all teams where I don't know, Salah will get just put out loose and Jota's there and they just kind of square it for an empty goal in the empty net in the 93rd minute or something. It happens quite a lot with the big teams, don't it? But,
that's true.
And I still think he's going to start because I agree with you that Diaz is the favoured 3rd player at the moment, but he's not going to play and Liverpool now play every 3 to 4 days till the end of the season, don't they? So
yeah.
So I still need to get
Yeah,
some.
they're going to rotate, aren't they?
I need to get Diaz in, really, probably.
Yeah, it's looking good, Diaz.
Yes.
Right, the final standings payout table. I've got it.
Ooh,
So in first, it's £450 plus the winner's trophy.
flipping heck.
The one trophy. Second, £240. Third, 120. Fourth, 80. Fifth, 60. Sixth, 40. Seventh, 30 bend. Eighth, ninth, and 10th all get 20 quid a piece. A little bit of something back.
Wow, that's awesome.
So
I had no idea. I'm going to have to try now.
And moving on to the next league, we've got the DT Tonic Patreon League, which I think is the top 4 payout in this. I'm going to have to try and find it. I'm going to have to read it out first. So, anyway, the top 10 in the DT Tonic Patreon League is in 10th, got Sean Siddall. 9th, Andrew Barnett. 7th, joint 7th, Sam Course and James Fricker.
Yay.
Well done, James.
6th, Connor Tobin. Joint 4th, David Dunkley and Michael White. In 3rd, we've got Stephen Broughton. In 2nd, Ben Lee.
Hey.
And top of the shop, Paul McNally. 24 points ahead of you, Ben.
Yeah.
If I could just try and find the payout structure of that. keep losing them. Here we go, Patreon League prizes. To the winner of that is a trophy and a DT Tonic branded t-shirt. In second, you get sell a DT Tonic branded t-shirt. In third, you get one of the mugs that we've seen earlier. Obviously, you can't see if you're listening, but I showed you earlier one DT Tonic mug. And in fourth, a DT Tonic branded ballpoint pen.
Whoosh.
Lovely. So yeah, all to play for. All to play for. I think, is it this week, Fergie? It's the 100th episode of the Green Arrow. If you want to give that a bit of a plug, mate.
It is, yeah. So for those of you that don't know, at Fantasy Football Hub, we do an FPL, a podcast. We've been going for about 2.5 seasons now. And it's the 100th episode of the Green Arrow. So we'll be doing it live on Thursday about 5:30. Myself, Adam Hopcroft, and Rich Clark. So if you haven't listened before and you play FPL, interested in FPL, please come along and join us. We do it live on YouTube. Really good fun. I think our handle on YouTube is at FFH_Green Arrow. Drop us a follow and come and join in the fun. It's really good.
Get across. Great stuff. Well, thanks again, Fergie. I think we'll probably speak to you at the end of the season. I guess we'll sort something out to have a clearing of the year, and we'll announce all the prizes and stuff like that. And it'd be good to speak to you at the end. And what do they call it? A debrief going into the summer.
That,
yeah. But thanks as ever for your time, and it's been great to have you on all season. So we'll speak to you at the end. As ever, Ben and James, pleasure.
Cheers, Tony. Thanks,
good
Fergie. Good luck in the
for
cup.
this week. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and you. Fingers crossed.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.